What would you do for a click and a view? I was asked to weigh in on the strange and weird case of Johnny Somali, a YouTube live streamer that now finds himself former YouTube live streamer who now finds himself in serious trouble in Korea. Well, I'm going to weigh into it, and I'm going to give you some of the backstory from somebody that's been mobile live streaming on YouTube for the better part of 9 years, almost from day one. The change I've seen in live streaming over the time has been a move towards more and more radical and terrible behavior. Why? For clicks or views. But YouTube live streamers aren't alone. There's also people that chase down missing children cases and insert themselves in police stations and protest outside of people's houses, all for the supposed sake of the welfare of the missing child. But the question that you really have to ask yourself is, would they do the same thing if they did not have a YouTube channel or a platform? That's the real question. So let's get into the backstory of live streaming on YouTube. Welcome to all of you. If you're new to the channel, I'm all about vintage audio, crabbing, fishing, demonstration, cooking, metal detecting, life-threatening live streams out there on the streets of, everywhere from Detroit to Chicago to LA to, most recently Las Vegas, and I'd love you to be a part of it in the future. I've been one of the longest standing mobile live streamers on YouTube, almost since you could do it on day one, wielding around my crappy little cell phones, doing the very best I can, fighting to get signal back in the day. But in the case of content, then live streaming was a relatively new thing on YouTube. When the platform was developed, it was all about creative content. Then YouTube started to realize there was a social media aspect to YouTube, and they wanted to develop this sense of community and also this sense that there was a parallel way to present yourself on YouTube, and that parallel way was live streaming. And at first it would be pretty innate with 10-15 minute maybe live streams on Hollywood Boulevard. But I remember even back then, as a part of IP2 network, that people would still come up on Hollywood Boulevard and occasionally cold cock somebody that was live streaming. In other words, there's a certain risk that goes with live streaming, and I should know because I've been in a lot of hair-raising situations over the years with finding myself in pretty sticky situations. Oh yeah, because I do enjoy the viewership of it, but I also get a certain thrill out of the risk. As I've said, some people climb mountains, some people go down in submarines and implode, other people go scuba diving never to return again, and other people just plain disappear or do stupid stunts, fall off of buildings, etc. All for the thrills and the views. Guilty. I enjoy it. I just happen to enjoy doing that also. But now let's turn to the case of Johnny Somali. A lot of you on my channel probably never heard of before. He was not very, a mediocre live streamer with, maybe 13, 14,000 subscribers, maybe 4 million views, and just out there really making a horse's ass out of himself to try to get that attention, to get known. That should be your first clue if you're on YouTube. If you dedicate your life to live streaming and hope to build a channel, you're going to find out pretty quickly that it's not going to happen. Why? Because YouTube buries live streams. It doesn't present it unless you happen to key on somebody in one of their live streams and you watch a little bit of it, then YouTube will flood you with their live streams. They have no shelf life. People don't care what happened on Hollywood Boulevard in 2017. They don't care what happened in the streets of Las Vegas on Las Vegas Boulevard in 2021. They care about the here and now. So that's your first clue that it's kind of a cul-de-sac of waste when you dedicate a lot of time to live streaming. You have to do it because you enjoy connecting with people, because you're not going to gain a ton of subscribers from activity or a lot of views, as this 26-year-old Johnny Somali's case proved. Let's tear into it now. And this is from somebody that's done more live streaming in 9-10 years than Johnny Somali would do in a lifetime. And I'm telling you, the worst thing that you can do is go out there and insult people, because especially when you put something out into the internet space. And Johnny Somali, shockingly, graduated from like Arizona State University with a degree in finance in 2021, and well, I don't know what happened. He discovered social media and was on his way, but he had a bend of wanting to be more and more outrageous, and this cycled through to, I think, 2023. He went to Israel, went up to the Wailing Wall there and put images of Harvey Weinstein and Jeffrey Epstein up on the Wailing Wall. He also got arrested for insulting a Israeli defense force, a female in the Israeli defense force, and he was subject to, I think, like a 45-day ban to stay out of Jerusalem or something like that. Well, that's getting off pretty light compared to the story to come, because this guy then proceeds to go over to Asia and goes to Japan and starts hanging around and goes to public places and starts chanting things like Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and starts to really do his best to see, as he says, my experiment was to see how much if I could trigger people in peaceful societies. Can you imagine that? What a beautiful representative of the United States of America. Just what we need, right? Some horse's patoot floating around Asia, self-styling himself as a big shot. Well, I don't think he got the reaction that he wanted from Japan, and he moved on to Korea, and he really upped his game from March of September of 2024, when he went into a Korean 7-Eleven and went to eat and drink inside the 7-Eleven, emptied his bowl of noodles on the counter, was giving the finger to workers in the 7-Eleven, and generally just causing mayhem. And the police intervened at that time and removed him. And he was told to stay out of trouble. Of course, he did not. But in October, his behavior became so bad. There are statues in Seoul of the comfort women that were dedicated to the comfort women that were used by Japanese soldiers in World War II, tragically. And they built a memorial to those women. Well, I hate to say that, but he took some of his clothes up and did like a clothes off and did sort of a lap dance on the lap of that Korean comfort woman. Well, you can imagine, right? You can imagine the insult that was felt within not just Seoul, the capital, where he was moving around, but also all of Korea. These are very sensitive things to the Korean people, and unbeknownst and stupidly ignorant of the fact that social media takes your message everywhere. Johnny Somali created a backlash in social media in Korea, and some people got together in social media and decided to put up a bounty for anyone that would come and take a swing and punch Johnny Somali's lights out. And you know what? That's exactly what started to happen. As he was live streaming with his sidekick one night, somebody just comes up right out of the darkness, and boom. Well, let me tell you, I've been assaulted in the darkness before on the street of near the Haunted Museum in Las Vegas. And it can be a pretty frightening thing, especially if you're not armed. But hey, I wasn't even involved with the guy that assaulted me, or the guy that assaulted me down on Fremont Street in Las Vegas. Yeah, my streams get a little spicy, but I'm not out there. I'm not out there to insult a nation or to piss off people. So people started coming out of the woodwork, and he would be walking down the street, and all of a sudden somebody would pass him by and just turn around and just cold cock him, right? It became so bad that because of all of his antics, and he says right on one of his live streams that I have no morals, I have no moral compass, I have no ethics, I don't give a F about anything. I do what I want to do for views, and that's it. Well, I guess 1 point for honesty on the part of Johnny Somali. But he was taken into custody by the South Korean, by the police in Seoul. And, well, the Korean justice system is not like the justice system in the United States. Nor does society function the way it does in the United States with the free speech and things like that. Asian cultures, having lived in China for 5 years, I can tell you Asian cultures are very self-regulated to a very high degree. People check themselves, and especially when it comes to promoting public opinions and things in thoughts in public. So this is really outrageous. So they arrested him, and the thing with the Korean justice system is that they have a 90%, they're not going to arrest you unless they know they're going to be able to successfully prosecute you. Now, there's a lot of charges that could be brought up, but the point is the success rate is 90% when it comes to conviction. His passport was taken. He now sits in a jail in Seoul, awaiting his, I don't know what they do in terms of an attorney and all that. But I can tell you what, if you're the judge that's going to be presiding in this case, and his initial charge is obstruction of a business when he went there and disrupted the business in 7-Eleven. And let me tell you, if you know Koreans, you don't obstruct their business, okay? Chinese, nobody in Asia, you don't obstruct their business. And there will be other charges, I'm sure, that will be forthcoming. And it's not really a good deal for Johnny Somali, because with his passport gone, he cannot just exit the country and say, well, I just don't have to go back to Korea again. This is one really, really stupid live streamer here. And it gets a lot more stupid when I tell you the ramifications of this too. I don't know how much time he will serve, if he serves any. He may just be deported in the country, and that may be the very best thing that happens, and I'll tell you why. Because he's already lost his platform on Twitch. He lost his platform on Kick. YouTube banned his 2 channels that were out there, and, well, I hate to tell you, if you're an active live streamer, the worst punishment that you can face is being deplatformed from a place that you've gotten a lot of attention. That's the real hell out there in the social media world. When you're deeply involved in that, and then you're multiply deplatformed, you have to go home to, well, I don't know, maybe you'll make 1 or 2 talk shows. You'll be a thing when you get back to the States. Yeah, they'll do 1 or 2 interviews, and then you'll just fade into oblivion because you don't have the social media platform. But for those of you who've justice-minded, let's put ourselves in the mind of the judge. We have 99.9999%, more than ivory soap pure, of people in Korea that want to see your ass dangle from the end of a street. They want to see you sweating bullets, right? They want to hear your apologies, and he already gave some lame apologies. I'm sorry, I did this for the Korean people. This real bullshit that came out of his mouth, and you're going to be the judge on that case. I'll tell you what. people will be looking at you, man. So you're going to find any way that you can make a statement that, number one, you want this guy punished to the greatest extent possible. And number two, you want to set an example for other people that may think of coming and doing live streaming, that say hello to your fate here in Korea. So it's an interesting case, and it's part and parcel of what I said about how social media becomes more and more deranged over time and more detached from ethics and a moral compass. And it all becomes about getting yourself known, even if that involves the pain that you might dish out to others when you say you claim that you're on the trail of helping missing and exploited children, when in fact you're just roiling people up and you're just causing the police to have to put time and attention on you instead of the case. But as I said before, if there wasn't social media, the question to be answered would be, would you still do it? And clearly the answer is no. Hey, it's fun to live stream. I doubt if anybody on YouTube has ever live streamed more than I have in the last 9 years, either here at the base in the rancho or on the road. And by and large, I've had a blast. I've had my assaults. I've had my scary moments in the back streets of Las Vegas, confrontations with prostitutes with pepper spray and things like that. But I know better than to get out there and try to rile up a whole group of people and have them against me. And then have people just mysteriously, I've had people mysteriously confront me on the street before, right? Mr. Dirty, etc. And it's not a really happy thing when it happens. So that's how we stand now with the strange case of Johnny Somali. And I think we can all take a lesson from that. I'm going to close this out. Once again, if you're not subscribed, I've been tagged into things lately and asked to provide some commentary on a lot of different topics, and especially about live streaming, because I've done live streaming for so many years and in such a tremendous quantity of live streams all over the nation. And yeah, it's interesting to see what happens to live streamers, especially those that choose to go too far. The internet can fight back. All right, guys, please subscribe. Lots of great content ahead. I would love you to be a part of it, yes, including death-defying live streams on the streets of America, and particularly Las Vegas. Thumbs up are appreciated. Please share this out, and thanks so much for watching.